So, have you ever thought that your partner had different values than you did, and that maybe those different values would make you hesitate to combine your finances with them? Stay tuned, because we're going to talk about how to handle this sticky situation. I'm John.
And I'm Jeff. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how having shared values can help you feel confident in combining your finances with your partner.
And this is our fourth video in this series, and if you haven't seen the other three, go check them out.
Our values, the principles and the ideas that we hold in highest regard are not always obvious to us.
Okay.
So sometimes they're explicit and sometimes they're implicit. And what I mean by that is that sometimes they are obvious, we call that explicit, and sometimes they're kind of hidden. In fact, there are lots of things about our mental life that are hidden to us because we just need to do things automatically sometimes. We can't be spending all of our mental energy trying to sort out every little detail of every little problem, so we have these kind of algorithms of sorts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And this even kind of gets into culture. So, how we spent our weekends, was weekends times for family sports, was weekend time for family get-togethers.
Right.
We kind of think of all these things as normal, and we don't process that everybody else doesn't do or value the same things that we do. And so they become rote until somebody comes along and says, we don't do it that way.
Yeah. And when you realize we don't do it that way, then you have a sense of what's been hidden to you and is now apparent. Right? So lots of things in life are hidden like that to us, and we just sort of do them automatically. That's the first point, right? The first idea is not everything is in our awareness. The second point is sometimes our values conflict. So the example I like to use is that I have a value about being healthy. I eat pretty well, mostly. I have good health insurance. I go to the doctor when I need to. I try to do a little exercise. So to me, health is important. I'm kind of at that age where things are starting to break down. But I also have another value, which is to enjoy life. And that kind of sometimes means I eat a piece of chocolate cake. I love sugar, and specifically chocolate. So my values conflict.
Right.
I can't really be 100% healthy while having chocolate cake.
And I think we're all in that position where things run parallel. I can want 4 different things at the same time. I can want to be in 3 different places. I can feel conflicted or stressed because there's multiple things that I'm wanting to do or accomplish.
Yes.
And I have to pick.
That's right. So the third thing is money has a way of following what we value.
Sure.
Right? If you want to understand what's important to you, you can get some clues about that by just going to see what you purchased. Go into your, checking counter or whatever and look at all the stuff that you bought. And you're definitely going to see at a given moment in time that you thought something was important.
Or you may find that you are easily distracted.
That's true. Also true.
Sometimes when we don't have a strong sense of what our values are, it doesn't take a lot to get us interested and sidetracked and following things that, we find ourselves having a lot of buyer's remorse over, or just going, why do I have all this junk in my closet, or all this junk that's accumulated in my garage that means nothing to me?
Yeah, for sure. So the third idea is that there's actually an idea in psychology that if you have shared values in a relationship with someone, that you tend to do better in the relationship.
Yeah, and I think anecdotally we all know that. We've probably seen friends who've gotten married who come from totally different backgrounds. Maybe one was really poor and the other came from a really wealthy background. Maybe there was some big religious difference that caused a bunch of stress. in the family. You can think of a lot of scenarios where, two different worlds come together and we go, wow, that's going to be a real challenge for them to be on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if you don't have any values in common with your partner?
Yeah, that's a challenge. But again, the idea of having no values in common, that's highly unlikely.
Very unlikely.
We have things that we value. They focus, or they live under the surface. We don't typically spend a lot of time trying to define what they are and how to express them to other people. If I ask somebody to, hey, give me just a 2-minute elevator speech on what are the five most valuable things in your life, people they could say something, but they'd go, I don't know if that was actually true.
Yeah. It does take some work to try to figure out what's most important to you. And that's what we need to talk about.
Right.
So if you want to grow your relationship and you need to feel more comfortable combining your finances, because that's what all this is about, right? Like how can we help you figure out whether it's the right time to combine your finances with your partner? If you want to grow your relationship, then you need to do a few things to help you identify the values that you have in common, the shared values. So let's go through a few, okay? The first one is, it's sort of the basic one that you and I have talked about forever. Go through your expenditures. Like, there's a ton of clues in your expenditures, the stuff that you purchased, right? That'll help you decide whether or not something is important to you.
Yeah, it's forensic. I mean, you're actually going back and looking at what you did. And anytime we get rid of money, anytime we part with it, we're actually making a decision in that moment that this thing or this transaction or this service is more valuable to me in this moment than the money that I'm holding in my hand.
Yeah. And be sure when you do that, when you go back through all your dollars, that you share your insights with each other.
Yeah.
Because that's the important thing, right? All right. The second one is discuss with each other what's more important to you than anything else, more important than money. Right? So take some time, make a list of your values, and then share them with your partner.
I do this exercise with the people that I work with, and often I get the answer when I ask that question, well, we would, and they do this quickly, I would say that, what's most important to us is our family, maybe our faith, but they'll give me a couple of great big answers that, quite frankly, are so big and have no real borders to them that they aren't really something that you could say is actionable. It'd be like asking somebody, hey, what's most important to you? And they would say, I want to live a really good life.
It's too vague.
It's too vague.
Yeah. So be specific. Yeah, get detailed. So be sure to share what you came up with, right? Share them with each other. And then the next thing is, of the list that you just made, separate lists, right? Make sure that you identify what you have in common. And those should be detailed as well.
Right.
So, be sure to spend the extra time to figure out how to drill down into the details of those things.
Now, Jeff just said something interesting, and he gave you kind of a visual of drilling down, top down. In other words, so big ideas down into small actions. I want to also tell you, if you're having a hard time getting on the same page or believing that you have shared values, maybe your one partner says, I really enjoy my evenings with my friends. We play poker one night a week. And the wife says, I really enjoy, going out to dinner with my friends. You might say, well, we don't have anything in common. We each like spending time with other people. But what maybe you're actually saying is, we really enjoy spending time with our friends.
Yeah.
And is there a way that we could build a life around that together?
Yeah.
So not only can you drill from the top down to try to find out what you're doing, but you can look at the little things that you're doing in the granular sense and be curious and help each other decide what it is about that event or that expenditure that holds a deep meaning to you. And you may find a lot of those things start pointing to some things that you jointly really agree on.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you're gonna find some things that you have in common. Take take the things off each other's list that you like, because you might not have an exhaustive list, right? And your partner might have said something that really strikes a positive nerve with you, and it's something you want to put on your list. So make sure you figure out what those things are in common. And the last one is, run a little experiment. Start to make a purchase or two on things that you decide you have in common. And the idea here is that if whatever that purchase is, if it's important to both of you, you're suddenly facing in the same direction, shooting for the same goal, doing something together.
Yeah, this really gets into the idea of building a life, jointly building this life together with the resources that you've combined, accomplishing things together that would be impossible to accomplish by yourselves, or the fact that you are accomplishing them together means you get to enjoy them together, and how that supports and builds the relationship.
Yeah, let what you have in common guide what you're going to do with your money. So if you're both spending on what you have in common, and you're going to feel more comfortable combining your money together, and that's really the point of this, right? Like, figure out a way to point in the same direction, because it's going to help you with feeling more comfortable about combining your money. If you like this, please hit the like and subscribe button, because that's the best way for us to get more content like this to you.
And if you're interested, Jeff and I put on a class. It's called More Than a Budget. You can find that at relational-media.com. And in that class, Jeff and I go through a deep dive into how it is that you should take on this task of developing your core values together. We go through the exercise of helping look at the way that you currently utilize money and what it means to you. Basically, we're taking an extensive amount of time getting couples to get on the same page so that they can have the life they want together.
And as always, stay curious.